All is not well in the All Progressives Congress APC in Edo State, as at least 4 aspirants claimed victory in the primary election held across the 192 wards in the state on Saturday. Arise correspondent Ohonbamu tells us more.
Confusion, absolute confusion currently trails Saturday's governorship election primary of the All Progressive Congress APC in Edo State, with at least 4 aspirants laying claim to the party's ticket after the party primary. In one of the primaries in Benin City, the state capital, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma, in his capacity as the chairman of APC Primary Election Committee, declared a serving member of the House of Representatives, Dennis Idahosa, winner of the APC primary election and party's ticket for the September 21 governorship election in the state. According to Uzodinma, Idahosa polled a total of 4,483 votes to beat off his closest rival, Gideon Ikime, with 700 votes, and condemning retired Colonel Imoeze to a distant 3rd place with 40 votes.
This is here, therefore, to certify that Honorable Dennis Idahosa, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared the winner of the primaries and is returned as the candidate of All Progressive Congress for the coming election.
But in an intriguing twist from another venue in Benin City, State Returning Officer Stanley Ugboaja announced Senator Monday Okpobolo as winner. Ugboaja said, as the State Returning Officer, he is the only person who has the powers to make such declaration. He called on members of the public to disregard any other results.
Senator Monday Okpobolo, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared and announced as the gubernatorial flag bearer of our great party APC for the 4th quarter.
They are spoken to choose the path of success, the path of development. They feel the only person who can actualize it is me, Monday Okpobolo. Chairman in law does not have the power, the responsibility, the authority to return any aspirant as the successfully elected one. The only person that the law has placed that on is the State Returning Officer. And the State Returning Officer appointed by the National Working Committee is Dr. Stanley Ugboaja, PhD.
In the confusion, some hoodlums invaded the venue of the primary where Senator Monday Okpobolo was declared winner, destroying everything including equipment belonging to journalists. The crisis rocking the outcome of the APC governorship primary election in Edo State worsened after a group of APC stakeholders called on the party's national chairman, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, to disregard the declaration made by Governor Hope Uzodinma, asking the party to back Amenero Dekeri as the authentic candidate of the party.
The purported announcement is null and void, and it should be disregarded in its entirety. Governor Uzodinma lacks the power to usurp duties and responsibilities of local government returning officers in the Edo State primaries.
While Governor Hope Uzodinma declared Idahosa winner of the APC ticket, a returning officer, Ojo Babatunde, declared Dekeri as the party's authentic candidate.
They elected me, Honorable Anameru Sodi Dekeri, as their preferred candidate, and in all humility and with a great sense of responsibility, I accept this choice, which I believe is a reflection of God's choice. From the depth of my heart, I say a big thank you to you, members of our great party in Edo State, for reposing this huge confidence in me.
A former Minister of State for Budget and National Planning and APC governorship aspirant Clem Aigbe has also vehemently rejected the outcome of the primary election. He said he and not anyone else won the primary election, but the results were manipulated against the wishes of the people. With this kind of outcome, with aspirants claiming victory to the party's ticket, the All Progressive Congress APC in Edo State is clearly heading for fresh crisis in the state. Omo Bazwai, Arise News.
Joining us now is Honorable Paul Ohonbamu, former Deputy Speaker and former Commissioner for Information and Orientation in Edo State. He will be joined by Austin Aigbe, a member of the International Public Service Association and an alumnus of the Africa Leadership Forum. Both men are indigenes of Edo State. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. Honorable Ohonbamu, Austin Aigbe, are you with us?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ohonbamu is here. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you for joining us. Well, very straightforward. The APC held its primaries in Edo State. The outcome, 4 different persons claiming winners, claiming to have won. Now, could you please help us make sense out of this? What happened? What's the source of this confusion? And what is the way forward for the APC in Edo State ahead of the gubernatorial elections in September? Let's start with you. I see you on the screen, Austin Aigbe, and after you, Honorable Ohonbamu. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much, the team over in Lagos. So it's worrisome what's coming out from Edo State. You expect that for a party in opposition, we'll need to do the primary process that will need to be adjourned to be free, fair, and credible. However, what has come out now did show some kind of a very high level of maybe what they call imposition in the highest level of order. Why I say this is because if for participants in the electoral process, for those who have observed, I observed the processes from the local government, all of the candidates that went around the local government, the world, to try to solicit vote of party faithfuls. I followed through from their media advisories to their press statements, even though not all of them anyway, but at least the critical mass of people you expect may be able to win the election. There were just about 4 or 5 of them, not all of the 12 that were in the race. But to be candid to you, when a day before the primaries, a major aspirant pulled out, then he followed after another one pulling out from the race, it shows a pattern. And if you look at the statement made by that major candidate aspirant, where it did make certain commentaries that had to do with the former governor of the state, the senator representing Edo North, and of course, praising the president for his role in intervening in the process. You would have expected that the pullout of those category of persons will ease the electoral process. But what we saw in that primaries was a bit of a clandestine imposition, very clear, that the processes were already going on. If you watch national news, including Arise, you will see the pattern. They took the pattern from the national election, where local government coalition will move into a venue, read the result, and the returning officer will ask a few questions, and that result is presented to them. So it was a pattern, and suddenly there was an invasion of talks, and today what is now history is that immediately the chair of the electoral committee went immediately to announce result. There is no evidence that there was a collation of election results by the chair of that electoral committee. I'm talking about the governor of Imo State. Otherwise, you will say, okay, there are 2 collation venues. APC, from what we observe, is that APC had 1 collation venue that were eventually disrupted, and suddenly there was an announcement, and when they reconvened, the fellow who called himself the returning officer said is the one with the right to announce result. Again, that's an APC internal processes. We need to, as an observer, we need to get to the point of who has the right to announce. I just looked at this case in APC like the case in Adamawa election, where someone said, I am the rec I have the right to announce result. They're unknown to this individual that the scope, according to any procedure, which is the state returning officer, does have the right. So it's between the one with the power, which is the chair of the electoral committee, and the one with the power to announce result. Maybe by today or tomorrow, we should be seeing greater. But you say it's 4, even though we know it's 3 now. Clemagba only claim that he has not been announced in any meeting. But I see that with what's going on, you are going to see a lot more declaration. People are going to be declaring results to favor them, and they will use the media to announce these results.
Well, Honorable Ohonbamu, if you are there, your take on the situation with Edo APC governorship process.
I think what happened on Saturday clearly shows that we have so many people who are only authoritarian politicians claiming to be Democrats. Because the way and manner they try to abort a pregnancy in its mid-trimester, the way they wanted to truncate a peaceful process going, it shows clearly that these were democracy assassins. The national body of the party set up a committee to conduct primaries. And we had 18 returning officers from the 18 local government. And the state returning officer authorized the function to declare the results because he was given the form and the result sheet on which he will record results. They started it. Clearly, from local governments, we are coming in with results. About 8 local governments came, up to 9. They discovered that the man from Edo Central, Senator Modo, was leading. And then they brought in talks to truncate the exercise. Now, Hope Uzodinma, the governor of Imo State, as the chair, is the ceremonial head. He is not the one to declare results. And even if you want to declare results, the process must be clear enough. How did you get your results? Who brought them to you? You just concocted figures and then wrote out like that. I think the process, leading to the emergence of a candidate is always critical to its acceptability. So when confidence is destroyed, the way they have done it now, it's a clear case of, a secessionist revolutionary motif. They were just trying to topple the apple cart entirely, and this is a dangerous trend. I tell you that it is, something that the party must look into, that is APC, because everything lies with the national now. To clear it lies in their hands. Shakespeare says, if correction lies in the hand that committed a wrong, to who shall we complain? So it is APC that must correct this. This is precisely what we have done. It is clear that Monday Okpebholo, the senator, won the primaries because that is what the resident electoral commission, what the returning officer assigned for that purpose gave out. And you saw even powerful politicians like Ize Iyamu, the strongest contender in that position, step down and for the purpose of power going to Edo Central. And that is one good and a strong Democrat I have seen in recent times. Then a former deputy governor, who is also a strong, very strong contender, stepped down for the purpose of power going to Edo Central. But one man cannot just, superimpose a candidate on the people because a man cannot be greater than the party. It is the people that will determine who will represent them, who will take the tickets. And that is the problem we have now. It was truncated. Then they hurriedly concocted figures and read out, written on mere sheet of paper. I know by now they must have procured the list, the paper for the return, so that they can fill in later. But it's all fraud, and they are democracy assassins.
All right. I hear you, Honorable Ohonbamu, democracy assassins. And you say that it must be the party that would rectify the irregularities that happened and the announcement of multiple flag bearers on Saturday. However, the chairman of the APC of your party has congratulated Honorable Dennis Idahosa. Doesn't that already demonstrate the fact that the party has taken a position in terms of, and that's not in line with whom you've said is the correct or is the right full flag bearer having been announced by the returning officer? This question is for you. Honorable Ohonbamu.
Yes, I saw that post on, yes, I saw the post on social media, because not from the conventional, media. So I thought they just concocted that, because social media, is a promiscuous facilitator. They can put anything there to dissuade people. The chairman, the national chairman, cannot be congratulating one person. When the process you put in place brought out 2-3 people, you must investigate how come 3 people came to be claiming victory. Somebody cannot claim victory without scoring. That is what has happened. You cannot claim victory without scoring. So I don't believe the chairman did that. National chairman couldn't have done that. It was concocted, and it's just the promiscuous facilitator nature of social media.
All right. So if he hasn't congratulated, has there been any word from the center, from the National Working Committee, from the chairman, from leadership of the APC? I'll ask this to Honorable Ohonbamu, because you're saying that letter is definitely or possibly concocted. Any word as to the direction from the center?
No, nothing has happened, because it happened during the weekend, and from today, we know a definite statement will come from them, because it is in our own enlightened self-interest in APC to do the right thing, because we are going for an election. It's not an imposition. It's not an imposition, and it's a contest. So that's it.
All right. Okay, for Mr. Aigbe, I would like you to just shed light on the violence or some of the attacks, even on journalists, as it happened on Saturday, where there were some centers where there were records of violence. Is there any word around the perpetrators? Have there been any arrests made, or any reports made to the police with regards to these attacks in some of the polling areas?
Thank you. You see, when a political party has its own internal affairs, you see, it seems to be in our local palace, not them. So they overpower the police who are providing support for that process to be issue-free. Just like you have the national elections, where election results are announced, are usually policed, heavily policed, in a way to minimize any level of violence. Surely there will be violence, because people are agreed, we want to engage in any means possible. So when you have, in this circumstance, in the APC, they own the power at the center. They do have some control over the police. So when you deploy one police, you can also move them away from the road and send unknown faces to go disrupt processes. So I think the APC need to officially apologize to those media officials, apologize to observers who were observing the processes. The kind of processes was going on efficiently well. Results were coming in. Returning officers from the local government, we are presenting their results, and you see these are evidential. It's not like you have to, anywhere around the world, if you follow the process, you will see that, and you will see the handshake between the local government returning officer and the state returning officer accepting the result. Like I told you just now, they mimic the national election pattern, where for a national election or for a state election, you will see the returning officer of a state, the state returning officer, shaking hands with the local government returning officer after presentation of that result. I was even smiling when that was on. I said, as APC learned, until we saw what later will now be 3-4 candidates emerging from a process that was already going on to some degree efficiently. The party do need very urgently to send an apology to all those media, particularly those, because we are told that some of the APC members who were conducting that process were beaten. Some are still receiving treatment in unknown destination. The party need to swing in a way to nip it in the bud, because this is not good for the election that is ahead of them. Because they are dope people. I'm proud to be a Benin boy, and I know when the grievance is high, there's a way it's no ball to the election, and that's what had happened consistently. If you look at historical context of elections in Edo State specifically, party primaries usually have an effect. So now, Honorable Ohonbamu has just talked about a few aspirants, strong aspirants, who pulled out for peace to reign in that process. If those individuals eventually shut the door against the party, then the next election, the election of Edo, go and mark it down, the election of Edo will be violently negotiated. And we don't want that in the state of Edo, because when impositions start at primary level, you have to impose all through till after the election, even up to the Supreme Court level, in a way that makes it confirm that what happened on Saturday, February 17, is consistent, and that is the way to go. That is not the way to go. We must try to improve our electoral system. In 2023, we all had said, INEC, you need to improve. You did this wrongly. The party who should be seen as the light, to bring the light, will conduct a process by themselves. And what you see is 3 candidates emerging. What does that tell for the major election?
Okay. So I'm happy you talked about INEC and the role of observers. So that's the first question I'd like to ask you. What's your read on the role of INEC as observers in all of this process? And that's to both of you, Honorable Paul Ohonbamu and Mr. Rustin. The second question will be about internal politics and democracy in the APC. I mean, this is happening in a ruling party, not an opposition party. But anyway, it's not that the opposition party is any better. The PDP have their own crisis. Labour Party too in Edo is in disarray. So when we're going to this election with the 3 top political parties totally in disarray, what does this portend that this is happening in a ruling party as we speak, and is overseen, all of this process is overseen by a governor that is still serving? Honorable Paul, you can start first, and afterwards I'll come to you, sir.
Very much. You see, as for observers, they were all there. INEC, even DSS, they signed the result of the returning officer, officer who was appointed by the national body. Everything intact. They did everything chronologically at the designated, collation center. Now, after the event happened, I was shocked personally, because I felt like having a cardiac arrest, to use the words of Dr. Reuben Abati, which he made a day after the death of Sani Abacha in 1998. Now, what sort of democracy is this? Internal democracy. It is from here you go to the major contest. You cannot even organize yourself. So I just believe that the national will do what is necessary. Because if you fail at this stage, then it will be very dangerous. As for the police involvement, of course, there's an extent they can go. You also wrote another article titled Anti-Fraud Machines in Fraudulent Hands. When you send people to go and maintain law and order and they compromise, what do you expect? But the real problem lies with the political party. Political party must be democracy's gatekeepers. You must ensure that dangerous elements are not allowed to go close to the center of power. People who have dubious allegiance to democratic norms, as we have seen. So, for example, our leader, of course, we have an emerging leader now, in the person of Pastor Osagieze Yamu. He has demonstrated capacity, and he has shown that he's a true Democrat. Comrade Adams Oshomole, I am particularly bothered and shocked that he just behaved in such a manner. I know he's satisfied, but I'm not impressed. And Edo people are not impressed.
In what manner did he behave?
He just behaved
in
like
what manner did Comrade Adams Oshomole behave? In what manner? What concerns him in all of this? Does he have a dog in this fight? Did he do anything bad?
Yes.
Tell me, yes.
Yes.
Fire
he
down.
is the one who told the people that Dennis Idahosa must be the candidate. It's everywhere. Edo people, all APC people, they are aware of that. He's the one. And you cannot tell me by his position he cannot sway people. He told them. So I see that as an act. So I liken him to that Roman emperor Nero, who entertained only himself while performing to a crowd. And that is very wrong to do as a leader. I expected a leader to stand at the intersection, not taking any side, not joining anybody.
Are you saying
stand at the intersection?
Are you saying Adams Oshiomhole is a major cause in all this problem and this conundrum that's happening in the APC in Edo? Are you saying we can blame it on Adams Oshiomhole?
When I'm through with this section, do your private investigation, and you will know that I have come here to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Can we blame it on Adams Oshiomhole? Yes or no? Can we blame it on Adams Oshiomhole, what has happened in Edo?
Until that Saturday, Adams Oshiomhole was the leader of the party, and he told people to vote for, he has the right to tell anybody to, but to take further steps. You know, all those who perpetrated the violence, they are all from one side. Somebody leading cannot disrupt a process that favors him. So are you Senator Okpebholo was leading. There's no way he can disrupt the process.
So are you blaming this on Adams Oshiomhole? That's what I'm asking. Is it to be blamed for this?
Yes, and his friend, Hope Uzodinma. And Hope Uzodinma, the friend.
Okay, so you're blaming Adams Oshiomhole and Hope Uzodinma. Let's go to you, sir, the next person, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the processes in any election, I'm happy you talked about IPD, internal party democracy. Historically, the Nigeria political party system is a very weak system because the party system...
Go ahead, we can hear you. Just go ahead. Yeah, continue. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Internal party processes, internal party democracy, when it is weak, it has effect on the democracy of a nation. So, political party system, which ought to be a mechanism for organizing, suddenly becoming a mechanism for all manner of abuse. I want to quickly state that every individual, whether a leader or otherwise, has a right to pick a candidate. But going beyond that right, because as a father of political party, whether the national chairman, whether the president, you may have an interest, because interest is always constant, but you will expect that you don't break the rank and file of the internal party process, because that is what makes you a pride, that in your party, when you lose election with pride. In your party, when you win election with pride. But in certain circumstances where these kind of commentaries are not coming, it makes it look more like what exactly is happening there. I think, very sincerely, that the INEC does have a role to play in this party process. Even though the Supreme Court has also given party judgment, empowering political parties as supreme, party supremacy is there, party internal processes is solely the duty of political parties. However, INEC is there to observe. INEC will not release its report until such a time that it is subpoenaed. So if one of the aspirants eventually appears in court for pre-election case, they will have to subpoena INEC report. And when INEC report comes in, INEC report is going to detail exactly what they observe. The first question is that which venue did they observe this process? Where was the local government election? Because it's direct primaries. Direct primaries means in each of the local government area and the ward, 192 of the ward and the 18 local government area, there are venues for collation and one state returning position. So INEC will allocate individuals to those various locations. INEC report will be collated. And I'm not talking about civil society report now because it's somehow is immaterial unless civil society publishes its report openly. But INEC will not publish report openly. That is a vital document. In fact, INEC now stands as the umpire, even though it's also the umpire in the general election, stand as the umpire in this internal process, but cannot make any statement categorically until that statement is demanded. And it may only happen in the court when there's a process to subpoena INEC report. Internal party democracy, until we solidify political parties' internal party democracy, our true sense of democracy as a country will always be a challenge. And I've said this over and again, with the election that happened on Saturday, we are hoping that the PDP will do well with their own and not bring us back to talk about internal party democracy. They must maintain some level of decorum and enhance their party democracy, then we can be able to pride ourselves as a nation of Democrats. But in this case, Honorable Ohonbamu has said democracy killer, be democracy something. Assassin. It's a democracy assassin. We are not hoping that in this country, democracy assassin we turn around to become the real Democrat. As the president has said at the AU meeting, democracy in Nigeria is sine qua non to democracy in West Africa, to democracy in Africa, and the global community.
Austin, Aigbe. Yeah, it's good that you have pointed out that political primaries, party primaries are conducted following due process. There are guidelines. Which of these primaries was conducted by the National Executive Committee? Because it's the National Executive Committee that can conduct primaries, not state ESCO. Which of these was conducted by the National Executive Committee? And do you see the possibility of the 4 contenders, or some of them, going to court? And you are right. INEC is not going to just take a report. If the matter goes to court, they will follow that process. And they are not going to listen to dictate from the resident electoral commissioner, who exercises delegated authority under Section 84 of the Electoral Act. So, that's the question for you. And for you, Honorable Ohonbamu, yeah, you say Senator Okpebholo is a validly elected person, because the question here is about validity. Now, Senator Okpebholo is from Edo Central. Dennis Idahosa is from Edo South. Okay, is this also about the politics of zoning in Edo APC? I would like you to talk about the zoning. Let me start with you, Austin Aigbe.
Okay, thank you. You see, the process of election, particularly political party, ahead of election, the procedure is released. Date of poll announced. Payment of form, nomination form, the cost and otherwise, there's a stipulated timing, the same way you have it in a national election. That process, if you check the list of those who were announced as local government returning officers, you will see about 5 to 6 nominated names. Then you have a state returning officer. Then you have the chair of the committee. Then you have the appeal committee. All of those the APC released, which is in the public glare. The challenge that I'm here to, because I don't want to make a comment that I may be wrong, the challenge will then be who has the right to announce the result. Is it the state returning officer as being televised to us? Because that was a process we all saw. And I'm not the only one who saw it. Very many people saw that. There are video clips now trending on social media where, as I earlier stated, where results were accepted from returning officers. And the media were present. I don't know whether INEC was present, that's not, but I know the media were present. But the media were not present when election collation was going on in a separate collation center. Until the disruption at that point of state collation point, there was no evidence of a contrary collation center. It was immediately after that disruption that there was another level of media breaking news, and eventually the chairman of the election committee, which is the overarching committee, announcing and declaring a candidate of the party. But there's also a statement by the APC National that all of the results that have been declared, they will only follow the one as announced by the chair of the electoral committee. Whether that statement from National is correct, is authentic, I don't know. Because again, with the era of disinformation, anybody can turn anything online and we all feed on it. That's where the challenge. I will not expect that the NWC, which is the overarching, we need to call these individuals back and then do a process. It's going to go immediately now as we speak to the point of an appeal. Appeal is going to go immediately. And if they are unsatisfied with the appeal, they appear in court. But as it were, we don't know if any of the candidates would like to appear in court. But they may do, usually the political party, what I know about political party, they have a way of resolving their internal issues. Compensation and otherwise, and people can just immediately say, okay, we're not going to court anymore. We let it die, and they all agree, and they judge off, and they go. And that's why you usually say that when people decamp from their party, when they are returning, you say they are returning home. There's always home. When they move, it's home. When they come back, it is home.
Okay, Austin Aigbe, let Honorable Ohonbamu comment on the same subject and then the politics of zoning and how this may have affected the contestation in Edo State, APC.
True. Yes. On the issue of who to declare results, the national body set up the committee and appointed a state returning officer. His duty is to declare returned the person that is validly nominated, and he started that process. A day before that Saturday, that is Friday, the preceding day, a stakeholders meeting was held. The chairman of the committee, Hope Uzodinma, the governor of Imo, was not even around. He entered Benin at about 12:30 p.m. on that day, when they had started voting, everything had started. The person who partook in that stakeholders meeting was his deputy, the governor of Cross River State. That one saw all the 18 returning officer from the 18 local government and the state returning officer at the stakeholders meeting. So it is the duty of the returning officer to declare result. The chairman is just there to oversee. Of course, he did not oversee anything because he came after the whole thing has been done to declare, to do the bidding of one man, and that one is very wrong. As for the issue of zoning, people call it zoning. I call it equity of recognition. You know, Edo State is sitting on a tripod. Edo South, Edo North, as well as Edo Central. Since this republic started in 1999, Edo South have had their own historical possibilities. This year, we make it the 16th year. Edo State have had 16 years in power. Edo North, through Adams Oshomole, had 8. But Edo Central cannot claim to have had any term. The term of Professor Osumbo can best be described as an interregnum. You know, an interregnum has a way of changing dates, of affecting dating. This is why Edo election today is staggered. It's no longer the normal election because it was an interregnum, just as it happened in the 17th century in England between 1648 and 1660. So this is exactly what happened. We are now saying there is the need for civic friendship that will be prelude to, you know, peaceful relationship. Let power go to the central so that these people, they are part of us. We are all together. Central has one senatorial, one senator. Edo South has one senator. Edo North has one. And if you take Edo Central out of the state will not be complete. So this is what people like Ize Yamu, a very strong politician, a political consequentialist, he saw it and stepped down for Edo Central candidate. All his supporters for Edo Central candidate. The former deputy governor, Lucky Imaswe, and they are the heroes in this fight. A former deputy governor, Lucky Imaswe, stepped down for this purpose.
Okay.
For this purpose, so that power can go to central, only for an entrenched interest to manipulate the process in favor of who?
Okay.
Somebody
Honorable.
that. So it's just like theater of the absurd. It's theater of the absurd. And I don't think that will work. So it belongs on the party to correct this. That's it.
Okay, on that note, we'd like to thank you very much, Honorable Paul Ohonbamu, and also Mr. Austin Aigbe for joining us on The Morning Show.